still not subscribed to the partition, you know, it's a lot of ways that you can do this besides watching all the content. But before we start, always remember, go to the channels link. Every show that we have, you can always see every show before everybody else see the show. But besides that, always remember, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, put it on all. Until then, always remember, anything is possible. Thank you for choosing the partition. Now let's get into the show. Anything is possible. Peace.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a huge.
So what's up?
That's right. I'm the legendary Ronnie Spencer.
WD.com. I love the conversation. My son got me this with my dad, so I can always have him with me whenever I do the show. Hold on, wait. I want to laugh. Welcome back to Chopping It Up with Lil Ron. This is your boy Lil Ron. Welcome to 2023. I hope everybody had a happy new year. But to start the season off and to start the new year off, I have a very special guest. And I could have picked anybody I wanted to put on my show to start off the new season. And after hearing this man's story and talking to him, I had to bring him on because I wanted you guys to see somebody that I like and I admire his story. But before we get into any of that, I want to introduce y'all to the one and only. I call him Mr. Sam. How you doing, Mr. Sam?
Mr. Ron, I want to thank you personally first, and I'm doing good. Thank you, and I appreciate the time that you're giving me on your show.
Okay. What I normally do, every time somebody come on the show, I always tell them to kind of introduce themselves to my fans because my fans know me, and I'm pretty sure your people know you, and there's other people out there that's going to get to know you and love you, and hopefully they can do some business with you. So kind of introduce yourself, and then we go from there, and we're good.
All right. My name is Sam Paiz. I'm the owner of LMS Taxes, Insurance, Real Estate, and anything doing with LMS. We kind of converted LMS to different companies, but we own about 20 different LLCs and corporations. And a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, and a lot of tears. So I tell a lot of people, a lot of hard work that people don't see behind the scenes. They just see the end result that we were talking about earlier. But I tell a lot of people, a lot of it is tenacity and just overcoming the obstacles that come in life. Nobody promised life was going to be easy, and if they did, I want to know that road. You know,
Yes. And you know, a lot of people think it's easy, especially dealing with life and also being a businessman. They always see the finish line, but they don't see the race you had to run before you got to the finish line. And that's just a lot of things that people don't understand. Now, you said a lot of stuff that you do. You said real estate, you're a businessman. It's so much stuff. What gave you the push to drive to say, I wanted to be a businessman? This is what I wanted to do.
My parents owned a little body shop off of Hopper Road, and they had bought that property back in 1966. And so in 76, my dad finally quit his job and started running that garage, the body shop, P&M Paint and Body Shop. And in 1981, I seen the struggles that my parents were having. Then my girlfriend ended up pregnant. I ended up quitting school and said, okay, well, let me get to work, help my dad build this business. And I thought, father and son, we can do this. And I could grow a relationship with him.
And you know, some people, father and son relationships are not like they used to be. Because back in the days, you had to work for your money. I remember when I was making $4.15, which I tell people now, and they laugh at me. I'm like, you work for $4.15? I was like, yeah, $4.15 was a lot of money back when gas was like 89, 79 cents. But it ain't like that. And I'm pretty sure back in them days, gas probably was 50 cents or 75 or 25 cents, if you might well say. Father and son relationships was real good in business because some fathers back in the days used to pre-set their children up whether it's their daughters, having them cleaning around the shop,
Right.
having they boys turning back around, helping with all the odds and ends that needs to be done to prepare them for the world that was coming up in the future. And some people didn't understand that. And so after you end up doing that, and you end up taking care of your responsibility, which I admire that because I did the same thing. I was 17 when I had my first son.
Right.
So I knew I had to be a man and I had to go out there and get it because I didn't want to not to be able to help my son whenever he got older. And I want him to lead. I want him to follow my lead. Like I followed my father's lead and he followed his father's lead. So when you decided to start your very first business, was you nervous? Was it hard for you? How did that actually go?
Working for my dad and watching the company and the struggles he had and being born here. My dad always used to say, hey, speak English because you're in America. But I always tell him, Dad, if you would have said, hey, speak English because you're an American, just that little word change, I would have been puffing out my chest, holding my head up. But to jump in the tow truck business, which I had no idea, it was 300 rednecks, and I'm the only minority out there, you could say, the Latino. And it was scary. I mean, all these guys were looking at me as the bean eater, the wetback, and I'm born here, and I'm just thinking like, what else am I going to have to put up with? But the passion to grow my dad's business was more than all that discrimination, that hate, that anger. What I didn't realize is that these guys were 25 and 30 years old and they worked for somebody. Here comes this little 18-year-old kid, one hair on his chest, David's story, right? And I come into the tow truck business not realizing that I was going to be translating for a lot of these Harris County Sheriff's Department. So that first struggle of 3 months of fear, of figuring out, why am I here, Lord? And even crying. I said, God, what am I doing here, man? These guys don't even want me around or anything to do with me. I'd had to park across the street because every time I tried to park next to them, they wouldn't want to hang out and they would leave. And I didn't have the radios. I didn't have the money at the time. So I had the antennas on the truck making people believe I had radios. So I would park across the street, and when they took off, I would take off behind them.
Wow.
So, yes.
When I was coming up,
Yes,
when I got my first car, I couldn't afford car speakers.
Right.
So I used to take the speakers out of my parents' house and wire them up and put them in the trunk of the car. It made it sound great. When I go down the block, they actually thought I actually had speakers in my car, but I actually took the house speakers, turned the box sideways, put the card in there, and boom, and there it is. And it works just as well as somebody else's stuff works.
Right,
They didn't know that until they popped the trunk. And they be like, man, you took that at your mama's house. I was like, hey, look, man, I had to take them. I had to use them. I wanted to have some sound. So that's what I actually done.
Yeah.
After you end up doing the tow truck business, what made you transition to a different type of business? Did you want to have other avenues? You wanted to step up a notch and do something different?
My mindset was the tow trucks, the body shop, the storage lot, and we were really booming in the 80s. But the oil crashed, and that busted the company. And what I didn't realize, everything was connected in the same industry. So I had to hustle. I had to scramble because the shop note, they were repoing my trucks. We lost my mom's house that we had gotten a line of credit against. And you're talking about 18% with good credit back in the 80s. And CDs were paying 12%. So I tell people all the time, my first recession, the first chaos in my life was the 80s and the oil crash. And that happened to just the oil-based states, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. We were all going through it, but the rest of the nation was okay, and they were going right along. Life was good, but man, Texas, Houston, it was an ugly scene. And I kept asking, well, what has oil got to do with my business? Everything. People were losing their houses, their cars, just a lot of things going on that I had to scramble and look for something else to try to make money, try to survive.
And a lot of people, they don't know. People think that because you was born in the 80s or the 70s, they think everything was actually good, but don't know that we had obstacles too. So you're right, because back then, it wasn't like now I look at people spend almost about $200 to $300 for a pair of Jordans.
Right,
I know
right.
back in the days, $79, $80, and even $79, $80 was a lot of money back in the
Right.
days. People didn't want to spend that type of money. A loaf of bread was like maybe 75 cents, maybe close to a dollar for a loaf of bread.
Right.
Now it's like $2 and something for a loaf of bread. People don't understand. And I saw the other day, I saw some season blends in the bag.
Right.
$2.
Yeah.
And I used to pay like 99 cents for this. It's actually $2. Everything goes up because even when we in this pandemic right now with the COVID and all the stuff that's going on, prices is steady rising.
Right.
They say they're raising up the minimum wage, they're raising up the Social Security, but they're really not raising it up because it's like you giving us a raise, but we still paying these high and fluctuated prices, man, and people they don't
Right.
understand that. So after the recession and the all thing, what was your breaking point where you said, "Hey, I gotta do something different. I gotta try to go out and rebrand myself and try to just snap back out of this"?
Right. I got into buying a bunch of T-tops, radios, and reselling them back to body shops and stuff. Then the law came in that buying stuff from the streets was theft by receiving, and it became felonies. So I got raided at the shop, and I got charged with 4 different charges of theft by receiving. So you had to get the people's IDs. You had to find out where these parts were coming from. And, at the time you're hustling, doing what you had to do to survive.
Not
I wasn't
thinking.
going out there stealing, but I was buying it. And so the law changed, theft by receiving, and I got 4 felonies in one shot.
Oh wow! And
Yeah.
sometimes when people get something and it hits them, they give up
Yes.
and they lose faith and lose hope and be like, I don't. The system did this to me. God don't love me.
Right.
Because this never would have happened to me. And not knowing it presets you up for something that He's got in store for you.
Right.
It's even better. That's when they come down the line.
Right.
So after you paid your debt to society,
Right.
when you actually decide to do your next business venture, what was the first thing that was going through your mind?
I thought, what am I going to do? I got my first wife with 2 sons. I'm married with now a new son. I have to provide, and there's no job that's going to give me the income that I needed to get back up. So I got into the pager business, and in 1 year, I went to 3,000 clients with Latel Communications, which stood for Latino Telephone Communications. And back in the day, Houston Cellular, GTE were there, and I couldn't get a contract with the Latino telephone, and the guy calls me up and says, change the Latino, and I cut it to Latel Communications, and 3,000 pagers, and a contract to start selling the cell phones.
Oh, wow.
So it was interesting thing to do, and it just took off for me, and just went from there.
And I remember having my pager. I used to tell my kids I used to take my pager apart to change the outer shell of it.
Right.
I used to beepers, to me personally, I know they still use them in the medical field.
Right.
I personally loved the pagers. I don't know why. I know the cell phone took them out, but I used to love making that pager, man. Somebody had to page you and they used to do the little codes.
Yes.
All the stuff that was the thing. And then when they end up taking it another notch, when you can actually read the words
Right.
that came across when they flipped up. That was with things that I actually miss in those ventures things. People forget about those things.
Right.
So after the pagers and you got that market going, what made you lead into the next generation we was coming to?
Taxes. My aunt Mary had been doing taxes since the 70s. And man, she was lined up with people. I mean, it was just no sign. Her phones would get cut off after August or something. But she invited me to come in and look at the tax business and asked me to come in and help her. And that first year, I think we grossed $1 million doing taxes. And that changed my life, man.
Yeah, you said $1 million. I got to say this. A lot of people think that you can make $1 million in taxes and get away with it and not pay taxes. Don't get yourself put in jail because that fair time is day for day. Some people that they don't understand it. They think I can go, I'm just going to jot this number down. I'm going to do it. Because I have people that always tell me, This person got my taxes. They hooked me up. They fixed this number. They fixed this number. And a few months later, I hear, man, I got audited, man, by the IRS. Man, this person did this to me. Man, they going to jail. And I always tell them this key element. Well, you have some documents that you have to sign.
Yes.
That person can say, you told me your information. I put the numbers in. You sign the paperwork. It's all on you. And they don't understand it. And they always feel like, no, that's not right. They did this. You have to read your paperwork.
Right.
And doing taxes is kind of a hard thing. And matter of fact, we are in tax season, to be exact right now. A lot of people kind of steer away from doing the right thing because they want the extra money. They want that little hookup. Because their friend told them that John got it down the street and Paul got his check last week. So they feel like they can do it and they can beat the system. And I always tell them, you can't beat the system. You can tweak it, but you cannot beat them. They know everything. You can't go 1 year or you don't make no money to the next year you made $500,000. Something don't add up. It don't look right, and they don't understand that. Now, when you decide to go into taxes, what was one of the first things that you was actually hit with? Because everybody gonna ask you for the hookup. Everybody wants you to see if you can fix their paperwork. What was like some of the obstacles you have to deal with actually doing that?
What's the max amount of money that I have to make or work to get the maximum amount with my kids? And so I tell them, why are you asking? Well, the government gives so much dollars. Why do you continue to want welfare when your kids are going to grow up and leave one day and you spent 15 years looking for the earned income credit that the government gives, and you're finding ways of working 6 months, then not working 6 months, then you wonder why your kids are in that same routine. So I tell people all the time, look, you can't put expenses down that are not there, because when you get audited, you need receipts, canceled checks. Proof. And so, you need proof. And so I told people, look, my parents taught me to work hard to make a lot of money. What I realized when I made my first million is that I owed the government $300,000. And because the more money you make, the more taxes you have to pay. So I told people, the IRS is hip to the game. You might think you're getting away with it, but 3 years before it's up, they can audit you. And so they'll come back with the audit, and by then, the preparer who did it is now disappeared and gone in the wind because they already knew what they were doing was wrong, and so they disappear. So I tell people I've lasted in the tax business for 30 plus years now because I follow the rules. Now, there's loopholes. There's what's called passive and portfolio income that most of us didn't get taught in school or by our parents or any of that. So I learned the game because it is a game, and you just got to understand the rules. And so you got to get with somebody that can walk you through those rules. And I tell everybody, I come from the hood. I quit school. I'm not like, oh my God, I went to school for a CPA, a road agent. Even though I'm registered with the IRS, I study constantly. What are the laws? What are the rules? What can I do?
Because they change every day. People don't know that. Every day, what worked last tax season has changed because some things stayed in, some things came out.
That's it.
Like this year, I heard on the news, a lot of people are not getting a lot of credit like they got last year.
Right.
Actually, people going to be receiving less on their taxes this year than they did last year. And a lot of people don't know that yet and don't believe it. And they're going to find out once they start getting all they stuff processed. Now, I do know as a person preparing taxes, those people, the tax preparers always going to have their stuff.
Right.
The people that receive their taxes, sometimes it don't always go that way. Because, some people forgot about PPP loans that they actually received.
Yes.
They got to, and a lot of them they forget to put that down.
Yeah.
That they received a PPP loan.
Right.
Feel like, well, I got it forgiven. It doesn't matter if you got it forgiven. You still got to put that down. That's income that you receive. Well, I paid all my employees.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You still have to. You got to report the money you gave to your employees.
Right.
They don't understand it. They feel like it's like just a smooth transaction. That's all we actually have to do. So, doing the taxes, which is a good thing. What is some of the things advice that you want to give some of the people? Because I do know you have the little debit card thing you was telling me about.
Oh, yes.
You're working on. How did that come to play?
a lot of individuals that are coming in from Mexico, Salvador, and then usually don't have bank accounts. And so they request checks. And so we already know we're going to a digital society.
That's right.
So I've been messing around with the debit card for years now, and I couldn't find the right group to do what I needed in the Latino market. And basically any market where individuals are living check to check and they can't hold the bank account. Well, I came out with a debit card called Siempre Funding, and I found a company that backed me on it and seen my software and everything that I done built from scratch and how I can help people keep that debit card alive or active because most people get their refunds deposited on these debit cards, and once the money's gone, they throw these cards away. So with the different companies that I got, Sam's Depot, the just any division that I have, I give you discounts from having the Siempre Funding card, and also deposit commissions, referral fees, and all that on the card. So you might have referred somebody that bought another service from me, and all of a sudden next week you have some commission on your card. Well, you don't want to throw it away because that commission is going to go on that card.
Yes.
And so that'll help you during the year for gas money, grocery money. And so I've had people thank me because they got the alert saying, I got $300. And they're looking at it because they had sent somebody and they forgot they sent somebody to my company, and I pay out these commissions for that referral.
Man, cashback. I love cashback all day. I tell people I'll try to get that to the T. But you said Sam Depot.
Yes.
That's that wood. That's the lumber thing.
Yes, that's the lumber company I started. Yes.
So what made you want to get in slanging wood?
I got over 700 contractors that I helped with PPP loans, EIDL loans, and we put $50 million in the street for these individuals that had no idea. The banks were sending us customers, didn't know how to reconcile the books, create their good standing with their LLCs and the corporations with the state. So 30 plus years and 42 years in business, I understood exactly what the lenders wanted and what they needed to do. So we helped them package this. And one thing grew out of another thing, and the necessity of having to help people with the different aspects of the wood material for these contractors and inflation going up. And one contractor was $160,000 over budget. And it just so happened that I had bought 10 trucks of wood, 18-wheelers, opening the shop right before the numbers went up. So this guy called me and said, Sam, I'm going to lose this contract. I'm $160,000 over budget. I'm going to get sued. I said, well, send me the last quote you had in November and December before all the prices went up. I was able to keep those prices and still make a 20% return on my investment and help this guy out. So now they send me Whataburgers, Take Fives. I did a couple of Twin Peaks, doing apartment complexes. So all these contractors that I helped, well, they're now coming to Sam's Depot, and you know, one thing led to another. And so, you know, a lot of people say, look, nope, I'm at the right place at the right time with the right people.
And you know something? We shooting a TV series, which is called The Outsiders.
Right.
Basically one of the #1 shows on YouTube right now.
Right.
I'm going to set in place that we can shoot an actual scene in Sam Depot.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to set it up where we going to come there and shoot a scene, not only there, but to advertise that business inside of that. I'm going to set that up where we can actually do that. I'll get with the directors and tell them, hey, look, we want to do this. Let's turn back around, because it's about helping each other grow.
Right.
And some people don't like to do that. And I believe in actually, if I can spend my money at Walmart every day, I can go down to Pappasito's and go eat. I can take my money and go over here and go to Home Depot and Lowe's and buy something. Before I go buy anything that I need to buy to build any set from this day forward, I promise you, I'm coming right directly to Sam's. I'm going right to your stuff, and I'm going to make sure I spend my money there. If I go there and I don't find it, I'm going to call you personally and say, hey, I can't find it. Can you get it? If you say, hey, I can't get that, then I'm going to go to Home Depot and the rest of the people. And if we support each other, all the other people that's out there that want to be a Sam, they're going to be looking and say, if Sam can do it, I can do it too. Right. Now, we come to my favorite part. My favorite part is called Leon's Top 5. Leon was a cousin of mine that actually passed 2 years ago.
Right.
He got killed in an 18-wheeler. He just started driving 18-wheelers, and somebody tried to cut him off, and he ended up passing away. But I always dedicate this segment of my show to him.
Right.
So, what would be Sam's top 5? Like the top 5 artists. It can be a gospel artist. It can be rap. It can be country. It can be blues. It can be Latino. Anything you can pick. What's the top 5 people that you listen to?
I love listening to some of Dre, 50 Cent.
Okay.
A lot of Tejano, Selena,
Okay.
Emilio. Those groups that I grew up with listening to. And my kids turned me on to 50 Cent. And, you know, Big Papa with, what is the artist's name? Biggie Smalls.
Yes.
So they turned me into the rap. I wasn't really listening to the rap because I really didn't understand it. And my kids got me to listening to that rap. And they're all telling their story of how they came out the hood, what the situations were. And that really turned me to think, wow, we got a lot in common.
That's right.
Than I thought. And so some of that rap music I listen to, and the same thing with the Tejano music, it tells a story of how these people came up and tell their upbringing. You know, Selena and their dad is an incredible story.
She was on the break.
Yes.
God bless her soul.
Yes.
She was actually going to be that bigger than Jennifer Lopez. She would have. She will always, in my eyes, was going to be that star.
Right.
That was going to be like the Beyonce.
Yes.
Yes, she was going to be that star. And I tell people, God, don't make no mistake. I'm a Tupac fan.
Yes.
I love Tupac dearly.
Oh,
I always
definitely.
tell people, God knew what he was doing, because I look at if Tupac and Biggie were still here, it wouldn't be no Drake.
Right.
All the artists is, because we wouldn't allow these new people come into play, because all we cared about was Tupac and Biggie. Want to see what each one of them say.
Right.
They paved the way for other people to be here now to do what they need to get done. Now, if somebody wanted to actually find you, how can they find you for as social media or for as any numbers? How can they find you?
The telephone number is 281-977-6572. And I'm at 10,700 North Freeway. And that's where I'm at daily. I do a lot of consultation on the tax, the insurance, the real estate. And so I've been really blessed. I got over 10,000 clients that look for me. We got over 138 independent tax offices that I help them with tax software and just trying to get them to convert over to the multi-services of what I'm doing to better help their clients.
Yes,
but,
sir.
Yes, sir. But 10,700 North Freeway is where I'm at every day. And the number's 281-977-6572.
Y'all make sure, all of my following, I know you have your tax person that you deal with every year. It don't hurt to go in and see and compare. Don't always be quick, because sometimes we get comfortable with Chris and Christina and Shaniqua from the hood and tell them to do our taxes. But sometimes at some point in your life, you have to do the right thing, and you have to do it right. And you want to deal with somebody that understands what you understand and comes from the background that you come from, that want to help you succeed to be a better person, because he does a number of things. I personally wanted to tell you this. I know we talked about a podcast thing the other day.
Yes, we did.
I talked to my team. We're going to make that happen. I'm going to allow you to use my studio to actually tape that podcast for free. You ain't got to pay us nothing. We're going to do it for free. We want to actually help, because the knowledge and the things that you say and the wisdom, I think the world should actually see it. And we are going to bring you back on another episode.
Right.
So I want to let you know that we love you over here, and whatever we can do, whether you need us to help you with a commercial, whatever you need, we're going to be there to support you to the end with no problem.
Ron, I'm speechless, man. I know we just met, but I'm happy to do whatever I can, and whatever things that you can get sponsors. I mean, I have 700 contractors. We've been sponsoring boxing, gyms, baseball, little league. And again, we've given out. Well, we don't try to promote that, but I want you to know that
sir.
we'd like to sponsor whatever you guys got, that
Yes,
we
sir.
can be a blessing
Yes,
also,
sir.
Ron.
Okay. Well, remember, anything is possible. please make sure 2023 is the year of support. We need to support every race, black, brown, white, Chinese. I don't care. We need to start supporting each other because that's the only way we're going to make it. Until next time, remember, anything is possible. Thank you for choosing Chopping Up with Lil Ron. Till next time, we out. Peace.